Welcome back, everyone, to the Berlin Newsroom. My host, as always, Alexis, and I'm joined here by Peter. Another edition of the Marvel Project. We bring you Shane Black's Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 was released in the year of 2013, which canonically takes place the same year as the Avengers, only in the fall. Therefore, it does qualify as a Christmas movie. Coming back, obviously, is Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, as well as Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, and Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. Please, let's have Peter start off the video, as I usually throw it to.
I was this close to doing a Mandarin impression, but then I remembered, I'm turning into Kyle, so I can't. I stopped myself. I'm not going to do it. I might later on. I can't make any promises. But this, I think, was the first movie. Oh, Iron Man 2. But
the first movie of Phase 2, we should point out.
Phase 2, but I mean the first movie where people were really divided.
Maybe even more so than Iron Man 2. I think
Iron Man 2, more people just we don't like it.
The consensus was we don't like it, but this one is.
This one was some we really like it and some we really hate it.
Yeah.
It was more 50-50. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where it was really
It split apart.
Yeah, split apart. So I'm interested, where do you fall as far as Iron Man 3?
I am one of those people that pretty much stays consistently in the middle. Mm-hmm. I understand both points of view, and I agree with both to a certain extent. The first time I saw this movie, keep in mind, I didn't know anything about the comic book origins or how big the Mandarin was. So the fact that the reveal of Ben Kingsley wasn't actually the Mandarin didn't really bother me. In fact, it was a pretty brave decision to make, and I actually went with it because of how funny. It was brave. Yeah. I liked it because of how funny Trevor was. But I remember watching it in the theater. I saw it with Giselle Gallegos and Antonio Quirarte, who are former members here of the BNC. And Antonio hated this whole Mandarin thing.
Really?
He just wanted to slit the throat of this movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah. and I appreciate and respect it because they did take a shit on the Mandarin. When you look at everything beforehand and you look at the trailers, Ben Kingsley's Mandarin could have been one of the quintessential villains in a comic book movie.
And I think the reason why when I first saw the movie, it kind of pissed me off too. But it wasn't really just because, it's the Mandarin and, it's not like the comics. You can change it however you want. As long as it's a good film and it stays true for the most part who the characters are. But the Mandarin was always sort of just a typical bad guy.
Yes.
So if it had been just a typical bad guy sort of thing, and then they turned out he wasn't, I would be really hard-pressed to care. Mm-hmm. It would be okay, but that's a cute little twist.
The namesake and the mythology and the fan base.
Just the fact, I think, beforehand in all the trailers and everything we had seen in the film up to the point where it was revealed, is he really came off he would have been a great villain and also a great twist on the character.
Yes.
Where he's sort of this, not really one... he doesn't come from one region. Right. He pulls from all kinds of different regions. Mm-hmm. And he's this terrorist.
The Chinese theater.
Yes, the whole theatrics of it all. And sort of the way Iron Man represented the West and stuff like that. And then this Mandarin was terrorism, and it was really interesting. And I thought they really could have made an amazing villain with it.
And they did, and for half the movie.
They did, because it's also someone where you're a bit sympathetic, because in his commercials he talks about the Americans did this
in 1971.
Yeah. So I think that's the reason why I was mad about it. It wasn't so much that they changed the Mandarin. It was, you had a good villain and it really could have been an interesting character, and then you sort of turned it into a joke.
Look, it's like this. You go from ready for another lesson to my name's Trevor. Yeah. That's how...
Yeah, you basically do.
But you see, on the other hand, I love it because I love Trevor. I mean, Trevor Slattery is just an amazing, hysterical character. I love how oblivious he is. He kind of is a breath of fresh air, honestly, in these movies.
I got it. He is funny. And I know a lot of people have, like, sort of a problem with the Marvel humor and stuff. But Trevor Slattery is a character that I genuinely find very funny.
Yes.
Like we just said before we started rolling, the best part of the Thor: The Dark World DVD is the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King.
Yes.
With Trevor Slattery. Like, it's really funny. And Ben Kingsley, this high caliber actor, comes in to do a one-shot, you know? So and he's actually, like, acting and doing a great job. It kind of shows you how much, like...
No, yes. I think for me, anyway...
What kind of actor he is.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley was the best part of this movie for me.
Really?
Yeah. He's the one that, either Mandarin or Trevor is the one that I keep going back to this movie for.
And also, the reason why I didn't like the twist, too, was because... Okay, he wasn't the main villain, but the main villain you replace him with is generic villain number 24.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's where it loses me. Guy Pearce did a serviceable job, as most villains do, as Aldrich Killian. But it didn't really pay off. In fact, the more you heard from him, the less you cared about him.
But also, it's not really a twist because...
You saw it coming.
He's already a bad guy.
Yeah.
So then the twist is... Oh, he's the main bad guy, but it's like we already knew he was bad, so it's like, who cares?
I mean, look, essentially what he is syndrome. Is because this movie, this movie is The Incredibles done again through many different perspectives. You have what happened in the past, and you have Aldrich Killian's story, and then you have the whole thing with Tony. Tony, as usual, is a real positive for these movies.
See, I think that's why I still, even when they're not like great films, I still really like them and I have a lot to enjoy about them. Like with Iron Man 3, I still have a lot to enjoy, and I can pop in that movie and have fun.
I gotta say, for me, he is, out of the 3 Iron Man movies, Tony is the least entertaining in this one.
Really?
But because he has an emotional and kind of a personal story arc that kind of requires him to be much more serious. I mean, I like the fact that throughout the movies you see him mature. Like you get a different Tony in almost every single Marvel movie. But I guess when I say the least entertaining, it's just not as captivating because it's not as usual playboy, philanthropist, quick, smart, usual stuff. But I mean, there is touches of that, but that's what the character requires in this movie.
But that's one of the things that keeps me, liking this film and interested. And like I said, I can pop in a DVD and watch it and have a lot of fun with it because of the Iron Man character. And I do like his arc where he's like, I've experienced things and I've seen things where it's just... It really makes him feel powerless.
Yeah, he's going through PTSD.
Yeah, and he's just like, and he's so arrogant that he feels like, I gotta protect everyone.
Yeah.
And he's like, how am I gonna be able to do it? There's just so much coming at us in so many different ways. And, he deals with that PTSD from this really crazy experience. His whole thing of like just making suits on end, he needs to keep improving, he keeps doing this.
Yeah. And
he sort of feels like I'm nothing without the suit. And he by the end of the movie he realizes like it's not the suit, it's a me. I am Iron Man, as he says. And that arc he has was really nice and I liked it.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I thought Pepper was great.
Yes, as always, happy Hogan.
Happy, you get the most Happy in this one, and I really liked Happy in this one.
Yes, he was really good. Rhodey,
love Rhodey. Yeah. But what I noticed is I don't think Rhodey fought once in the suit. Think about it.
No, he didn't.
He didn't. He had his little Iron Patriot suit.
Yeah.
But I don't think he fought once in it. But I really liked him, and I liked the way they were at least trying to do some things different.
Yeah.
Like they said, you know what, let's take him away from all his gadgets and everything. Let's see him, mostly as just Tony Stark trying to figure out this little mystery. I mean, it's not much of a mystery. You know who the bad guy is. But, you know, when he's storming into the house to take out the Mandarin. But at that point, we didn't know it was Trevor. But he got all this, like, Home Depot items.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to save it.
That was a great sequence.
A really awesome sequence, I think. And I think it's one of the best sequences in all of the
Yes,
Marvel,
it is. Once again, it really just, it harkens back to when he was in that cave. And how he can just make such great weapons out of crude materials.
I was actually going to talk about another scene.
Yes.
It's when he saves those people falling out of the plane. I really like that scene. And it's something that these heroes, you know, have to deal with, and you throw them in an unwinnable situation and see them, you know, try to figure it out and win, because he's like, you know, there was like 13 people falling out of the sky, and he could only carry 4, and it's him like trying to grab all of them together.
That was a cool
and stuff. Yeah. It was a really well done scene, and you could tell a lot of it was pretty practical. Like they actually threw people out of the sky and filmed it, so that was cool. And I'd say all the action scenes really worked for me.
Yeah, they do.
The last scene when they had like
the suits and
all
everything.
The suits from the long history of the Iron Man comics, because they're like, we're not going to be able to do like 20 Iron Man films, but here, like, you can see, you know, all of your favorites, you know, fighting these lava men.
Yeah,
and it was really great action, and I really did like it. And also going back to the negatives, which of course with Marvel is the villains. Aldrich Killian's whole plan
makes no sense.
It's a little BVS Lex Luthor. Because his whole thing is like, I'm gonna own the war on terror. I have supply and demand.
But you need a reason to kill the president that'll play well on TV. You really think that'll play well either way?
It was really muddled, and it was. I would try to explain it, but then I'd feel we'd give more thought to it than the people who wrote the film did, you know, as far as like.
I like the part when he wakes up and it's all a dream.
What part? Okay. No, okay. I was like, did I miss something? Have I been watching this movie wrong?
No.
But no, and also, I forgot another sort of action scene was when they attack his house.
Yes, that was a good one.
I really like that, you know, seeing this staple of the Iron Man films, you know, his house, and that's where he created the Iron Man suit, and, you know, his relationship with Pepper and all that. And you just see it come down, and then, you know, you see his little cute robots, like, falling in. You're like, man, the cute little robots.
Yeah. And
this movie was great looking at it strictly from the Tony Stark aspect
of course, yes.
And his personal journey. When you start going into, like, the villains and all that, it becomes...
It loses you.
It loses you?
But I think what's great about this is that it really just brings a sense of finality to the Iron Man trilogy. And even though, again, it's not Iron Man, but it's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I think it brings a lot of arcs that have been forming throughout the trilogy, as well as the Avengers, to an interesting finale.
It's one of those films, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's terrible. It's like,
no, it's not.
It's a good movie. Yeah. The good definitely outweighs the bad, although there is bad, and I will not argue on that. I can't watch this film and say, like, oh, it was a terrible movie. It was a good film. And, you know, I've seen it quite a few times and really evaluated everything. I was like, yeah, it's good.
It's a good one. But if you want to see the better version of this, go watch The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Good movie. I gotta say. Thanks, Peter. And I'm your host here, as always, Alexis. And we'll catch you back for another Marvel project on the BNC, the place for all things movie news and reviews. Bye-bye.